All right, so now everything is looking good, looking very, very good and beautiful. So there's just one more thing we just need to do. In fact, two more things we need to do. The first thing we need to do is that we need to add some aesthetics to our project plan. We'll add a bit of labeling here, a labeling there, just some general stuff. I particularly am interested in the title, and we'll just look for one very presentable title and add. Now, when we start the project, it's also important for us to continue to keep track of what we've done and what we've not done. So we need to find a way to be able to flag the activities as done and not done. So in real time, you can even give your project sponsors updates in real time of which activity has been done, which activity has not been done. Now, if the file happens to be hosted on the cloud, then you may not even need to give that report. All you have to do is to just have your project file open, and anytime an activity is done, you just flag it as this activity has been done, and your project sponsor can just open the same file on his end and just check the progress of the project. Now, this is the final thing we are going to do, and after that, we know we are ready to move forward and ready to execute the project, right? Okay, so let's jump back in and see how it goes. So now let's add some aesthetics to the project, more like a project summary, right? Now what we'll do is that we'll come to this tab here, format, click on project summary task. Now this project summary task will create an extra project here that gives us a summary of the entire project. It will give us a task name, which I can change. Let's change this to construction of a bungalow in Lagos. Now we already have a duration, estimated duration of 79 days. Now this duration is the total number of days from start to finish, irrespective of order, right? You can see if we start on Tuesday, 14th of July, we would finish on, I think this is October. Is this October? Yes, October. So now we can actually from here change the start dates. Okay, no, we will not change it from here. We can change the start date from somewhere later in the project summary, just like we did before. Now, finally, the final thing we will do here is that we will now print out this in PDF form, right? Print out this our entire project chart in PDF form, right? Now, but before we go to the printing, there are other ways you can view this our project plan. Now, if you see here, if you come to views and you come to the leftmost side, you will see Gantt chart and a whole lot of other views that you can select. You can select tracking Gantt, which will show you, okay, we'll come back to this tracking Gantt, but it will show you a percentage of completion of each task as they go. We can select a network diagram instead, which will also show you a different layout of the projects you get from the beginning to the very end. Let's not dwell too much on that. Let's stick to the Gantt chart. We will come back to this tracking Gantt chart much later. But first, let us print. We'll go to File, we'll go to Print. Now, this is the view of the current project from start to finish. It actually cut off here, but I want everything to be in the same page as much as possible. Now, usually project managers like to use a very long paper, right? Now, A4 paper happens to be the default in printing, which is what we have here, or letter. So, but we can change this A4 to maybe we'll change it to something different, like perhaps I think we should have A2 or A3 in here. Just hold on 1 second. Let me find it. A5. No, A5 is small. Envelope is small. I think there should be, let's see if we can find A2 as part of the papers. All right, so we are not finding A2. Let's just use, let's use A5. Oh no, A5 doesn't work. Let's go back and use A4. And of course, we cannot use portrait. If we use portrait, this is how it's going to look, which is not going to be too nice. We'll have to use landscape. Now, this is actually going to give us 6 pages. You can see page 1 to 6. So which means if we can, as we keep going, it will keep showing us about 6 pages. I think this should be page 1, page 2. Okay, page 1. Page 1 even broke up into 2 places. Now, let's see if we can make let's make some changes. First, let's change the printer to PDF printer. Then let's change this to A3. Yes. Now we've changed our paper to A3, which is the much larger paper, and we just have only 2 pages. So that's page 1 and that is page 2. So we can print them side by side and just simply glue them along this border. All right. So, but finally, another thing we can do is that we can still further compress it, but I don't think that is going to make for a good strip. Let's just leave it this way and let's just move forward. All right, so we click on print and let's say we call the final folder, what do we call it? Bungalow construction. And it saves as a PDF and we save it. Now, here's the final file. We have our bungalow construction here, and there we are. We have the first page of the file and we have the second page of the file. So obviously, if we print them together, we can just glue them along these lines or place them side by side so that we'll have one long strip of paper and we have everything in place. Now, if we zoom it out a little bit, zoom it in a little bit, you can see the first, that's our initial title, construction of a bungalow. It's more like a summary activity. So this is the summary. It gives us the total number of days that the project will last for, gives us the start date, gives us the finish date, and we can now also change the dates when we are done. If anything happens and we need to change the date, we can make changes to that date. Now, assuming the project starts, once the project starts and we need to mark activities as done, right? Here's how we do it. We'll select the first activity, right? And we move over to task. Now, over here, we can see the percentage of completion that we can mark it as. Now, watch what happens. Okay, let me just mark this first one as 100% done. If I click on 100% done, you're going to see inside this bar, we're going to have another smaller bar. You can see it there. It has been marked as done. Now, pouring of the foundation, and then you can see a tick also. This tick now shows that the project has been completed. Now, pouring of the foundation, we can mark it as 25% done by just coming to click this small button here. And if we do that, you would see that this line in the middle has extended from the beginning and it has stopped approximately 25% of this entire length, right? And if we mouse over, you can see in progress, task, it gives us the task, start date, and all that. It gives us a little bit of basic information. Now, remember this is a Gantt chart view. Now, we can change this Gantt chart view to something else, right? Now, what we had before was tracking Gantt, right? So let's go and select tracking Gantt. Now, if we select tracking Gantt, this changes, right? And it now shows us percentage of completion of every single task as you mark them in their different rates. Now, this pouring of foundation is 25% done. If we click on 50%, this changes to 50%. Now, of course, also the total project continues to change and to move. And if we make it 75%, this changes to 75%. And if it's done at 100%, it changes the color of the activity to 100%, and it gives us this tick
over here. Now, this is a sheet that you can use. This is something you can use to continue to give your project sponsors updates, right? As things go on, as the project continues to go on and on and on, you can just send, if this file is on the cloud, they can just access, your sponsors can just access the project file, and they will know exactly what is going on at any time, any given time. If this cloud is not shared if this file is not shared on the cloud, then you might want to be sending them regular updates. Probably at the close of business every day, you can now send them updates on this file, or you can make small notes, at the end of each activity. For example, if you have to build walls and windows and you want to mark it as 25 percentage done, 25% done, you can come and click 25% done here, compile this file to PDF and send it to your project sponsors, right? Okay, so now that we've gotten to this stage, we have fully set up our projects from start to finish. We've learned how to create a Gantt chart, change the different views, export it to PDF or to print out a copy of this project plan. I'd like to see you do something similar, but perhaps you can first of all practice with this file. I would have this file added to the description and uploaded to the course. Then I also want to see you do something totally different from this activity. Generate your own activity, and let's see how you plan the project from the very beginning to the very end.